Hello, everybody. Welcome to the very first live stream on this channel. I am your host, Matt, and today we're going to be looking over Lazio versus Porto. We were looking to have a Lazio fan on the stream, but couldn't get an agreement. But regardless whether we're going to have any Lazio fans on or not, we have another Porto fan on the stream who's going to be previewing with us. Welcome, Tendine, living in Spain.
Yeah, it's good to be on. First time on the channel. I've obviously been to Porto. I've been to the stadium. Um, yeah, so I'm probably in terms of Portuguese clubs, which one I would like to support. It'll probably be Porto now. I have a Porto shirt, scarf, and all that sort of stuff. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to talk about this game, the Europa League game.
Yeah, and welcome to those who are watching on the repeat. And any comments that come through, we'll be having a look at them. So let's first get a bit of a reflection on the last game. I gave my thoughts in a video, basically saying that it's a good sign that against the lesser teams, Porto are being so dominant. But I'll throw it to you. Did you get to see Porto play Estoril, and what did you think of the game overall?
Not I haven't really seen much of the game, but also I know it ended 4-0 to Porto. So obviously good result to keep on winning. I know Porto's if you want to just consider the Premier Liga, or out of 10 games so far, they've won 9, lost only one, and that one was against Sporting Club, the team that Porto managed to beat in the pre-season cup. I forgot the name, the Super Cup or something in Portugal. So, I at the start of the season, I think I predicted Porto to win the league, Premier Liga, and it's not so far not a bad prediction. I know losing to Sporting, weeks ago was not great, but well, obviously with the news with Amorim going to Manchester United by the end of this weekend, basically, um, I am, to be honest, I'll be confident that Porto can pull off the league title over Sporting, but it really depends on that. As for as for the game against Estoril, I didn't see much of it, but as I said, a 4-0 win is a win. At the end of the day, 27 goals in the league so far this season. That's the second best after Sporting, and conceded only 4, which is the second best after Sporting by 1 goal. And obviously, we have you know the big game on Sunday night, um, and obviously, I remember that being a 5-0 win, the most recent game last season against Benfica. Um, Obviously, it will happen again. I have no doubt about it. Um, so maybe this Lazio game coming up. Lazio on good form. I think both teams are on good form. I would probably say over the past 5-6 games, you can say. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see where both teams are at, um, heading into tomorrow night's game, basically.
I love to hear the optimism. Going on to the Porto's Europa League form, it took a bit of time for them to get going, but at least they've managed to get the win against Hoffenheim in the last game.
Yeah.
Wasn't very convincing, but then Hoffenheim weren't that good either. But Porto certainly did take the goals well, and it's good to see Samu actually bullying defenses that in the way he did for that second goal. So we've got a bit of momentum to build off of, as do Lazio, who
Yeah.
come into this game having won all their games and are top of the table.
Yeah.
Because before we look at their Europa League form, I will mention that currently in the past few games in the Serie A, they have been winning against some of the lesser opposition, similar to Porto, and they've also, like Porto, have been playing in a tight schedule. In fact, they've been playing Thursday to Monday to Thursday. So
Yeah.
in so in general, the squad will be both squads will be tested, but for this game in particular, this is one example of it. I believe AD has joined, and yes, he has. He says hi. I did notice him sharing this stream about. So yeah, I did get to see some of Lazio's game. Not as much as I would have wanted, but from what I did see, I thought Cagliari gave them a good game. To be honest, Cagliari, excuse me. They,
Yeah.
they were defending well. The goal came from a bit of luck, but I thought they put up a good fight against Lazio overall, all as an underdog. Obviously, it was going to be difficult going down to 9 men, but I thought it was a good overall performance from them. Lazio, okay, but they still got the win. And then the Europa League form. I managed to catch some of their game against FC Twente, who weren't very good, but Lazio certainly they were decent in that game. They took their
Yeah.
first goal well. Pedro was good, very good in that moment. So this isn't going to be easy, not at all. And then for that, they beat Nice 4-1. And in September, how did they do? They won 3-0 at Dynamo Kiev. So this has been a really good campaign so far for them. How do you reflect on Lazio in the Serie A, in the Europa League, and will this be kind of Lazio's first test in the Europa League so far? First real test?
Yeah. I mean, on their Serie A form, they're practically in the title race, I would say, even though I know they're fifth, but they're only like 2-3 points away from Napoli. And Lazio, at least in the past 5 games, won 4, lost 1. So they're in a good bit of form themselves. And obviously, Serie A is a little bit more competitive than the Premier Liga, just because there's a lot more teams fighting for the title this time around. But when it comes to like the bigger-ish teams that Lazio had to play so far this season, I mean, they've played Milan at home and they drew 2-2. They played Fiorentina 2-1 loss away from home. And then when they were away at Juventus in the league last month, they lost 1-0. So against the quote unquote bigger ish teams, like teams that you would expect to be like up there, because Fiorentina are doing well. Milan, I know they're not doing great, but obviously last night we saw them beat Real Madrid, so there are no pushovers. And Juve, the only undefeated team in Italy in Serie A. So, Lazio have obviously done very well for themselves with 7 wins, a draw, and a couple, 3 losses. But overall, been very impressed with this season. And obviously, if they, you know, hopefully not, to be honest, hopefully not against Porto, but if they beat Monza away on Sunday, Lazio, then Lazio will be near the top of the table probably, depending on results. But yeah, it does make things interesting that both Lazio and Porto aren't, they're not first place in their respective leagues, but they have a very good chance to be in first place in their respective leagues. So I think this game is probably a very good even test between Lazio and Porto. As for Lazio's Europa League, I mean, obviously they've only played three teams. They've played, who was it, Dinamo Kiev away. They beat Nice at home, and then they beat FC Twente away. So FC Twente that drew with Manchester United earlier in the campaign, and obviously FC Porto we know drew against Man United in the second match day. So yeah, I think overall, I do think that Lazio obviously have started their campaign to win the Europa League very well. Um, do I think they'll win it? I mean, I don't see why not. We had a Italian club, Atalanta, won it last season. So who's to say that Lazio could win it this season in the Europa, especially with the start they have? But I feel like ultimately it will come down to when it comes to March, April, and May, when a lot of things are more up for grabs, I would say, because it's still early in the season. I'll be honest, but I would say both teams are evenly matched, just because that they're not top of their leagues, but they have a very good chance to be top of their leagues. Obviously, for Lazio, I know they're fifth, but they're only 3 points behind the current leaders. So, if they continue their good run of form, you never know. They could be top of Serie A. It's the same thing with FC Porto. If if Sporting drop points, obviously because they won't have Amorim after this weekend, you never know. And if FC Porto continue to build, the momentum, then and obviously that will hopefully come as well on Sunday, for the big game, which I am interested to do a watch along on whoever's channel. But yeah, I do think both teams are evenly matched, in terms of just the quality of players and all that sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see. So even now, I don't know what my score prediction will be between these two teams.
Yeah, but I'd say they're about evenly matched as well. I like the point you mentioned when you spoke about these two are in a title charge, not at the top, and yet they've got this competitive game against each other. So yeah. As for some of the players to look out for Lazio, I would Pedro's obviously one.
Um,
He was subbed on as well in the 63rd minutes, so I would imagine he's going to start. Isaacson, who he came on for, as
yeah,
normally he'd be playing, but given that Lazio have had to play Thursday, Monday, Thursday,
okay.
and even before then, and they were playing in the Europa League, so they've been in a tight schedule as well as Porto.
Yeah.
And given that Lazio have played on day less than Porto,
Yeah.
I would imagine Isaacson's going to be benched. There's Guendouzi as well. He got subbed off in the 73rd minute. We could see him. And Sakanji, I think he's a captain, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's the guy that scored against Croatia at the Euros. He was the one that scored.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Zakani. So, yeah, I mean, this Lazio team is, there's a reason why they're in a quote unquote title challenge. The team is pretty good, obviously better than the, local rivals, Roma, at the moment. But Lazio have done well. The one thing I would say, even though they played a day, they had one fewer day in terms of rest. The only thing is, Lazio don't have to travel. They don't have to fly to
Good
Porto or
point.
wherever, because they've had back-to-back games. They played Calgary a couple days ago, and then tomorrow they'll still be at home in Rome against Porto. And I think an interesting thing is that both teams are very good at home so far this season in both of their leagues, I would say. Um, but the only times that these teams lost their games this season, I mean, Lazio, they've lost 3 games in Serie A, and those games were away at Udinese. They lost to Fiorentina away, as I said, and lost away to Juventus. But at home, they're pretty good, I would say. But it's the same thing with Porto. I mean, obviously, Porto are away to Benfica. So it's going to be a tough week, I would say, for Porto. If Porto win both games, the one tomorrow and on Sunday, that would probably be the best outcome, obviously. But, you know, if you're FC Porto, I think the most important would probably win the game on Sunday, I would say. So I don't know if there's going to be, I wouldn't say much motivation for this game because I know Porto only has 4 points. But for some reason, if I was, let's say, if I was Victor Nunes, um, the FC Porto, Victor Bruno, the FC Porto coach, maybe can rest a few players for tomorrow's game ahead of the derby against Benfica. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, the best possible result is win both games. The worst possible is lose both games and have
Yeah.
Sporting go even 6 points clear, because Sporting have a pretty easy game, you would say, this coming weekend, beat Man City. So if you're Porto, I think I think I would say more margin of error. Let's say, because it's pretty difficult for Sporting to lose games in the Premier Liga, I would say. Um, so it'll be difficult for Porto to catch up if, let's say, 6 points behind, lose to Benfica. Hopefully not, but lose to Benfica. Sporting win this weekend, 6 points clear for Sporting, which Sporting don't usually lose games even if they have a new manager. It will still be difficult. Whereas with the Europa League, after this game, there's still 4 more games for Porto um, to kind of pick up more points. I mean, Porto still have to go away to Anderlecht, who aren't that great. They play at home against Michelin, and then when it's January, they host Olympiacos, and then away at Maccabi Tel Aviv. So I think there's still opportunity for points, but if Porto were to beat Lazio, it would be a huge step to getting the top 8 and avoid a playoff in February, basically.
Yes, true. That even if they do have an error have hit tomorrow, there's points to pick up if they can get it
Yeah,
later on. Another thing you mentioned was about what this game means for Sunday, and it's worth mentioning that Lazio go away to Monza, and which is
yeah.
a
You
much
would expect them
less
to win.
intense
Yeah,
game compared to what Porto have to go to on Sunday
yeah,
in the Portuguese equivalent to El Clasico. Obviously, it's not the same stature, but
yeah,
still. One other player I'll mention is Vecino, another good midfielder. He came on in the second halves of Monday, so he might play.
yeah,
As for Porto, one thing I did notice, and I'm going to be putting that forward tomorrow. Samu started the full 90 minutes, on Sunday, so I get the feeling he's not going to start this game. And Danny Namasaloda also played a full 90 minutes, and we didn't see any substitute striker on. So my theory is that Dennis Gould is going to be starting for Porto. We saw Galeno not start, so I think he's going to play. Pepe, who was subbed off for Galeno, it's a maybe. They've got a fair number of options squad-wise, Porto. But I think the thing that stood out to me was the striker position. I don't think we're going to see Samu come on. I don't think he's going to play unless Porto need a goal.
Yeah.
And the thing about this game is, with Lazio being top of the table, this is another game to continue the momentum, extend their lead.
Maybe even clinch top 8, essentially.
Oh, are we at that stage now? Well,
not really, but you would think 12 points after 4 games is a very good buffer between them and everyone that has to catch up. So obviously, I think Lazio would obviously want to win this game.
Absolutely. I'm going to get up Porto's lineup from the weekend and see what I can come up prediction-wise for lineup. So they started with a 4-2-3-1 with Costa in goal, Martin Fernandez right back, Perez and Diallo at centre back, Francisco Moro left back, a midfield of Alan Varela and Nico Gonzalez, and the attacking free order isn't clear how it was set up, but you had Fabio Vieira, Danny Namasaloda, Pepe, and Samu Omorodoin. So Costa should start in goal. I have a feeling that João Mario is going to come back in the lineup because he came on, he managed to get an assist.
Yeah.
But then you could also make the argument that he's got more experience in the O Clasico game. But then again, he has not been informed before this game, and he was playing against Estoril. So that's going to be. I think he'll probably stick with João Mario. I think he'll play João Mario this game and then play Martin Fernandez against Benfica. Centre backs will probably stay the same. We might see Zepedro come in, which I'd rather not see. If we're going to have another centre back, I'd rather it be Octavio. Left back probably is going to be Francisco Mora. Stacchio, I think, will play. I noticed that Alan Varela was subbed off at halftime, so he could. I think he'll play.
Yeah.
He generally he's seen as like Porto's best midfielder. So now that I'm thinking about it, I think Victor Bruno is going to find a way to get him involved in the Lazio game and also play a full 90 minutes against Benfica.
Yeah. I mean, at the time he got subbed, it was already 2-0 to Porto against Estoril, so maybe it's just more of a rest than anything. I think he'll probably start this game. I don't know the whole game. Probably depends on the circumstance, because I think it's best to have him 90 minutes on Sunday. I think that'll probably be the most important.
Yeah. I think we'll see Estaquio start this game. I think
Yeah.
we're going to see Varela and Gonzalez as like the main midfielders on Sunday. Although that being said, when Porto were playing Man United, even Hoffenheim, Victoria Guimaraes, um, not as early as when they played Sporting CP, but just some of the other bigger games recently. Victor Bruno was playing a 4-3-3, so we could see three midfielders.
Yeah.
I don't think Gonzalez will start, but we could see Grujic there. But he could just stick to the 4-2-3-1. I think Estacquia will be there. Varela, maybe Marco Grujic, but not too sure. I think Galeno will play. And I don't think Rodrigo Mora will play. I think in such a hostile venue, I don't think he quite challenges the other attackers to get a start. Is Fabio Vieira a nailed-on starter?
I don't know.
I think this could be a good game for him to play especially if he doesn't play against Benfica.
Or maybe you build, you can say, confidence. Play him in
Yeah,
this game, see how he does, because you can think of Lazio as a big game of similar stature against Benfica. So if he does well against Lazio, and then you sub him off after 60 minutes, then you can try play Vieira the I don't know, the whole 90 minutes against Benfica. But maybe that would be an option. Play him, start him this game, and see how he does against a very good team.
yeah, and I noticed that he was subbed off for Galeno, and it wasn't Pepe. Pepe was subbed off for Borges in the 86th minute. He's one of the key attackers, so he could potentially start. I don't think Gonzalo Borges is good enough, although if you wanted to keep the attackers fresh for the Benfica game, there's a possibility there.
Yeah.
I think Dennis Gould will start. And then whether it's a 4-3-3 or what the other part of the 4-2-3-1 is, maybe isn't the clearest unless you've got other suggestions. If
Yeah.
not, we could then I think would be a good time to go to our score predictions. But before we do, is there anything else you want to share?
I mean, even now, I still don't know my actual score prediction. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'll do mine. So I think pretty evenly standard of teams. Porto have certainly been progressing well since the draw, and Lazio have as well. Lazio have home advantage. My feeling for a while has been 1-1, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say Lazio 1, Porto 1. Probably Lazio will get the first goal. Simple prediction.
Yeah.
How about you, Tendime? Any more ideas?
Thinking about with the home advantage of Lazio, even though they have a day fewer of rest, played on a Monday instead of Sunday for Porto, but no travel, doing well in you could say more competitive league.
Yeah.
With Serie A, whereas Porto, Sporting, and Benfica past 5 games, all 5 wins for all those teams. So, and just with the added fact that Porto will probably want to win on Sunday a lot more than this one. Not saying that they will not turn up in this game, I just have the unfortunate feeling that it might be a Lazio win, maybe like a one 1-0 win, something like that. Because I don't know how attacking Porto will be in this game, just because it's away from home and you don't know how well you would stack up. So I don't. It's tough. So I'll just go 1-0 Lazio. Unfortunately, just considering also Lazio are pretty good at home this season, in all competitions. Um, as for Porto, apart from the loss away at Sporting and the loss to Bodo Glimt, um, yeah, I just think that it will be a pretty difficult task against, probably a pretty good Lazio team. So I'll probably say 1-0 to Lazio. I would probably say that. Maybe Isaksen or someone like that. Or is
Yeah,
it kind
that's a fair assessment. I am a bit conscious of time. I know you'll need to go at some point soon. Thanks to everyone who's been watching. Thanks to everyone watching on the replay. Thanks to you, Tendome, for joining us. Where can the people find you? And feel free to speak a bit more about yourself if you want to.
Oh yeah, this is my YouTube channel right here, Tendatum. Yeah, I mean, I've been to Porto last year, 11 months ago, December 2023. I really like it. I really enjoyed Porto when I went. I don't know if I'll go back anytime soon, but if I do, then obviously, if there's a home game for Porto, I'll obviously want to go. But yeah, hopefully, you know, Porto gets the best case scenario: win tomorrow, win on Sunday, and go from there. Because I think the season for Porto starts probably, or you can even say the season ends on Sunday, depending on the result. But yeah, um, I'm definitely available, I guess, to watch the game on Sunday at least. I'm not sure about tomorrow's game against Lazio, but obviously I'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, hopefully on Sunday, hopefully it's a wave of blue, the dragon and all that. So yeah, hopefully Porto win on Sunday, and then yeah, hopefully win as well tomorrow. Hopefully, obviously, I hope both of us are wrong, um, in the right way, and a Porto win on both games coming up. But it'll be tough. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I like the analogy. I hope the best case scenario does happen, and great to have you on. Before we end the stream, I will make an announcement that along with the fact that there is another stream tomorrow, or for Benfica versus Porto. Tomorrow we have a special guest coming on to do the preview with me. People will find out who that will be soon. But for that reason, that's why the stream is going to be before the Lazio versus Porto game, which wasn't what I intended. But at least we will have seen how Benfica have done tonight.
Oh yeah.
So yes,
please go Bayern.
Yeah, hopefully you'll get two English strikers scoring against them, Kane, Loda, and in Endime's case, I actually can't think of a Spanish player at Bayern Munich, but
I don't think that
even though
I mean, there's a Spanish player at Porto, obviously.
Yeah, Samu. Although granted, your you're all from
Yeah. Well,
Philippines.
I live in Spain, so I guess I'll support
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Spanish
I mean,
clubs. That's not Real Madrid,
you
obviously.
yeah, and plus you did support the national team in the summer, but
Yeah.
yeah, gr great to have the stream. I don't even know if I've asked any final thoughts, but if you have any,
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I know the game for Benfica starts in 10 minutes. I think Bayern are hosting. I'm pretty sure.
yes,
So
yeah,
we get to see how Benfica play. But to be honest, Benfica unfortunately have done well in the Champions League. Let's hope the downfall starts here. But yeah, we'll see how they do against a pretty good Bayern team. I'm not saying Porto or as good as Bayern, but maybe both teams can end up winning the league, Porto and Bayern in their leagues. But yeah, hopefully, I cannot wait to watch probably the game on Sunday. To be honest, just because it's a do or die. Win against Benfica, the season pretty much starts because Sporting don't have they won't have Amorim, but we still expect Sporting to continue carry their form. But if Porto loses, hopefully not, then it's 6 points behind, and you just don't expect Sporting to drop points. So it'll be really really tough. Um, but hopefully, best case scenario happens, win before this international break both games for FC Porto.
yeah, absolutely. Hopefully. Join us tomorrow as I do the live preview with our special guest. For now, we're gonna put the preview to a close. Hope you've enjoyed. Um, Hope you'll be around for future content. All interaction is appreciated, and until next time, Forza Porto. And
Forza
I've just remembered that I've got to press end stream twice. 1, 2.